he's a noted author. He does this for a living, and he's going to be talking to you guys about finding your purpose and your identity. It might sound cheesy, but I'll tell you that even when you've worked for a long time and your undergrad degree is in the rear view mirror, and it's a number of years behind you, going back and thinking about, who are you, and sort of what is your purpose and what's your sort of your drive. It's not something that loses relevance. I think it probably just gains relevance and significance. So without further ado, over to you, Sam.
Thank you, Patrick. And, thank you for this opportunity to share with all of you this insight and these words. And I'm going to see if I can share my screen with you. And can you see that? Does that work for everybody? Perfect. Great. Well, anyways, like I said, Patrick has been somebody that we've kept in touch with over the years. And I think it goes back to what you said earlier, Patrick, about relationship building. I mean, ours goes back 15 years. Patrick and I hadn't talked for a period of time, but it wasn't because we didn't want to engage with each other. It just, people get really busy, but you know what? A relationship is where you pick up where you leave off. And that's where Patrick and I have reignited this friendship. What I'm going to share with you, and I've only got 30 minutes here, which it's really going to be a lot of information, but you can always connect in the future. I want to start off with this. What does toothpaste have to do with today? I'm going to hold off on that. Always leave a cliffhanger, so that'll be left for the end, but toothpaste is something we're going to end with. A little bit of an agenda, so I'm going to share a little bit about who I am. This model I have called CARE, talking about personal brand and purpose, and some life lessons for you. Now, this is who I am. I'm a speaker and a storyteller. I've incorporated stories into my life and incorporated stories in everything that I share. When I'm teaching, it's all based on storytelling. When I try to share in a speaking session, it's all about stories. I'm a mentor and coach. Over the years, I still mentor 3 to 8 people a week. And over the last 25 years, that's been about 5,000 conversations. I've also built out mentorship programs. So again, I offer this to the organizers. If you ever need somebody to bounce ideas off, I mean, I've created mentorship programs. I've helped with the development. So anything I can do to help support you, please feel free to call on me. I'm an author and a blogger. So 7 years ago, that was not me. But something ignited within me that I needed to pursue. And now I look back and now I have a couple of books under my belt and about 160 blog posts. If there's things that you find here that is engaging and interesting, it's also in my website, which I'll give you at the end. I'm an applied academic, meaning I teach at the business school at SFU, and I teach organizational behavior and introduction to business. But I call myself an applied academic because what I like to do is take the theories and I like to put it into practice. In other words, does it work in industry or not, as opposed to just the, what I call myth and theory piece. Myth is what we believe the world to be. Theory is the logical explanation, but does this theory actually work? I'm an entrepreneur and an intrapreneur, so I've started businesses and I've worked in large organizations where they let me be an entrepreneur type of spirit. But I've worked with a lot of startups as well to help them vision and ask them really great questions. I'm also a problem solver. I thrive in ambiguity and uncertainty. Some people are afraid of this, but this is where I thrive. That's my sweet spot where I really always gravitate towards. I'm just working up and maybe pursuing this project in the Philippines right now to implement an educational program for 200,000 children. And that all bodes with this problem-solving aspect. And I'm a community do-gooder. Over the last 25 years, I've worked with 45 nonprofits to get them to start thinking entrepreneurially, because I think that nonprofits have to have that entrepreneurial spirit. All of this helps to make me who I am. But oftentimes people come to me looking for the answers to life. This is what I am not. I am not this orange saffron bearded man who sits there waiting for you to come and I'm going to say, this is what you do. you say, oh, I don't know what direction to go. I've had people ask me, Sam, what business should I start? I'm like, if I knew that, wouldn't I be doing that? So the monk that you seek is within you. I'm the difficult monk. My job is to ask you questions, and the monk that you're seeking is within you. So today I'm going to be sharing a lot of information and insight in the 30 minutes that I have. I really feel it's time to take and reflect on some of the things we talk about today, but also take time to reflect on the mentorship program, your education, the work that you do. Also, I hope that there are some sparks of insight that emerges. And the sparks of insight are things that I might say that you're like, ah, that's something that's interesting. But where we are today, I mean, challenging times. We've got COVID happening all around us and around the world. I spoke at a conference recently to entrepreneurs about how can we maneuver and deal with COVID in the present situation. And I came up with an acronym that I've shared with people, and I hope that it resonates with you. And the acronym is CARE. CARE basically stands for collaboration, adaptability, resilience, and empathy. These are 4 words we need to institute into our life in order to get through this. Collaboration means the need to work together. There may be something that you have that others lack, or something that you can contribute. Collaboration is a way that we can work together. Adaptability is the need to say, okay, we are in a unique situation. In order to thrive, I need to be adaptable. Resilience is this whole idea that we're not going to see the end of this next week. Resilience means we're in a marathon here, but how do we build resilience in? Empathy is we need to show care and compassion to our fellow human beings at this most difficult time. When I speak at a conference, I actually go into a lot more details on how you build collaboration, adaptability, resilience, and empathy. But there's so much that I want to share with you today that if there is more that you want on this concept of care, drop me an email at the end, and I'm happy to share the more detailed intricacies of this that we can have. It also is about how do we support people around us. Mental wellness is so critical with regards to the challenges people face, whether someone is going through the challenges or you have to support somebody with the challenges. And I came up with not just care, but I came up with starts. It starts with you. S is for support. In other words, you need to build and create a supportive network and a support system around you. By creating a supportive system, trust emerges. We need to trust each other that we can share. We also then find that when people are going through difficult times, it's the here and now, and we forget to appreciate the intricacies and the small things around us. Reflection is a way that we can capture things, to think deeper, and to look at things from a different lens. Talk means the art of conversation, and having a situation where people should feel comfortable saying, look, I'm having a difficult time. Can we sit down and talk? And being an active listener in that process. If we do all of this, we wind up with a place of strength, and that helps us get through the challenges we are facing. But I'm going to share with you my unique journey, because you see an individual before you, but I think my journey is an important one to share. You see, I graduated from university years ago, probably before some of you were even born. And when I graduated from university, I graduated with business and political science, with this idea and mentality of like, I have a degree and this is great, who's lucky to get me? So after the graduation ceremony, I started doing what we normally do. I started applying for jobs. Now back then, there was no internet or email. You actually had to write letters, type letters, hand deliver them, or mail them. Well, I sent out about 10 letters to different companies saying, you know, I'd like to work for you. And about 2 weeks later, a letter arrived. And the letter said, sorry, we don't have a job for you. I was like, that's okay. I've got all of these other letters out there, but I'm going to do 3 more letters today. Sent out 3 more. Every time, it was like ebbs and flows. It was just like the tide coming in and the waves coming in and going out. Every time I sent out letters, letters came back saying, we don't have a job for you. We're not sure what you're looking for. Good luck in the future. Well, in a very short time, I got 83 rejection letters. 83 companies and people who said, we don't know who you are. Good luck. I will tell you that every single letter was a nail in my coffin of self-confidence. And it wasn't a matter of who's lucky to get me. It suddenly became, am I lucky to get a job? Well, I proceeded and I went forward and I finally got a job. My job was mopping floors and emptying rubbish bins in a hospital as a janitor. Now, people started saying, you wasted your time. You didn't need a degree to do this job. Well, it's what I needed to do. I needed something. I needed a foothold to get started. But here's the thing. By being a janitor, here's what I learned. 3 lessons, and I was actually not prepared. The 3 lessons I learned by being a janitor. The first lesson, my father said, I don't care what you do, you have to do the best job possible. If that means being a janitor, you make sure you do the cleanest floors and emptying every single rubbish bin. And you know what? I put my heart and soul into that job, and I did the best job possible. The second valuable lesson, there were times I would get on an elevator with nurses, doctors, and administrators, and I would not even be acknowledged. Because you know what? The nurses, doctors, administrators, and here's this janitor, we have nothing in common. I know what it feels like to be ignored, and I will never treat people like that. So this is why I've done about 5,000 conversations to help people from high school all the way to CEOs to listen, to say, I am interested in your journey. How can I support you? And the third valuable lesson, I have a degree on my wall. People said you wasted your time. I didn't see it that way. I looked at it as, what am I going to learn in anything that I do? And if I can pull 3 valuable lessons from pushing a broom along a floor, that carries me to who I am today. It was such an important piece in my life that I needed to endure. But here's the thing about these letters that I now reflect on. 2 things. Do you realize that if one of these letters would have materialized, I actually would not be here today talking to you because my life would have gone in a different direction? A good point would be I probably would never have met Patrick in the first place because I would have gone in a different direction. The other thing, do you realize many of those companies no longer exist? I still do. We are more resilient than these companies are, and we need to give ourselves much more credit to understand that we are going to proceed and we are going to move forward. So the realization I had was I was not prepared. And this is why I'm on a crusade to help people. So my realization is we are so focused on the what. And we do this at a kindergarten, preschool rate where the first question oftentimes people ask is, what would you like to be when you grow up? And then we pick these honorable positions. And I spoke about this at one of the TEDx's that I did about who, not what. Because instead of the what, and these, we want to be an astronaut, we want to be a teacher, we want to be a doctor, and we find these honorable positions. And somewhere along the way, reality sets in, and now all of a sudden it doesn't materialize. So instead of reframing this from the what we do, let's start looking at who we are. So I always say, which one are you? Let's say it's a beautiful sunny day in Singapore, you need to buy a pair of flip-flops. Well, you could go to the corner store. They sell groceries, they sell lottery tickets, fried chicken, hardware, you name it. I've been into the stores and they actually sell what you call plugins for your phone, like chargers. So they carry everything. So are you that, or are you Starbucks? Meaning, would you go to Starbucks to buy a pair of flip-flops? And the answer is no, because we know Starbucks is tea, coffee, food-related items. Now, people might say, Well, yeah, but it's good to be the corner store because you're a real generalist. You can do everything. The challenge with being the corner store is people don't know what you're good at. People don't know who you are. What do you represent? When you become the Starbucks, your brand starts to emerge and opportunities now come to you. So all of these opportunities that emerge to me is as a result of really having this understanding of who I am, and as a result of that, what can I contribute back again? The way that I would say that you can capture this, and this becomes one of the things you can actually work on, I call it the 5 core elements. And this is something I came up with many years ago, but it has crystallized for me and it's supported and helped many people in their journey. I always say, what are the 5 things that matter to you that you're not willing to compromise? So my 5 core elements are servant leadership, story sharing, activator and igniter, champion and enabler, and a community do-gooder. Anything that I embrace has to hit 5 out of 5. Now I'm working on 13 projects right now, and all 13 projects hit 5 out of 5. But the benefit is those 13 projects aren't here, 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 and separate. No, they all layer in. They all overlap each other because I've really created these 5 core elements of the things that really matter to me. Now, it's great that I can tell you about this, but how do you come up with 5 things that really define you? Well, what do you enjoy about your work? And it could be what you don't enjoy about your work. Like, start doing an inventory and thinking deeper about it. Like, you know, for me, it's about the fact that I get to teach and I get to share. That's the part I really enjoy. I don't enjoy the marking and I don't like giving out letter grades, but what I enjoy is the interaction and engaging with the students and sharing and seeing them say, oh, that's what you mean. Well, what classes when you were in school did you enjoy? And why did you enjoy them? Which ones did you not enjoy? And why? But you always have to ask why. And what do you do in your social time? But why do you do that? For me, I've undertaken woodworking. I actually build things now. And I find so much comfort and joy. I could sandpaper 3 hours and not even know where the time is gone. What do you think about, you know, in your spare time? But when you're having a shower, when you're driving, what do you think about? But the thing that you got to ask yourself is why? And what people are afraid of is, what if I don't pick the right words? You're going to change them whenever you are in your life, as you go through life. Don't be afraid of picking the wrong words. They're never the wrong words, but then you will change them. Mine have changed over the years. But once I started doing this and came up with 5 things, it's amazing how suddenly there was clarity. There's also this 16 personalities test that you can do online. It's free. And this is one way to find your 5 words because they provide you strengths and weaknesses. And it helps you to better appreciate it. So it's a Myers-Briggs test, you know, so you plug your 4 letters into Google, it'll tell you some really great words. So I would encourage you to do it. It doesn't mean that it's a stabilized test that you can actually then go into an employer. It's nice to do because it helps you to better appreciate who you are. I always say, write a personal statement. If you had to meet somebody for the very first time, what would you tell them about yourself in the form of a statement? You know, I am an individual who, and then, but don't make it into like a resume that says, well, I completed this and I do this and I work here and all that. Make it more interesting and engaging. But what would you say if you had to write a personal statement? Now, connecting things together. So I've got about 12 minutes left, so I'm going to try to get through some of these key elements here. It's relationship building over networking. In other words, I really value and appreciate that you went through this mentorship program. But I think Patrick is correct. Don't let it end here. Maintain those relationships and expand those relationships. I mean, listening to some of the dialogue, it sounds like you have some really great, solid friendships that have emerged. And again, never find it's awkward to reconnect with people. I mean, that's Patrick and I again, where it, you know, every so often we make comments and, but when it happened, we were able to reconnect. Also, use LinkedIn to your advantage. Meaning, I get anywhere from 1 to 5 LinkedIn requests per day, but majority of them are the generic, "Hi Sam, can we connect?" My thing to you is this: if you want to connect with somebody on LinkedIn, don't do it on your device unless you can send a personal message. The personal message is actually going to be so important because that's going to make you stand out. It could be something as, I heard your presentation. I really appreciate the space you created. Could we please connect? You'd be amazed at a number of people that may connect with you because you took the time to write a personal message. Added to this is connecting with people on LinkedIn. I would say find 30 to 50 people that you respect and admire internationally and send them a personal note. And when you send them a personal note and see if they respond. Now, if 2 of the 50 people respond back to you, that's huge. These are people you want to connect with. But make sure you follow up with them. Now, I always say as well, we fear the obstacles. We are afraid of things that could go wrong. I've always said obstacles are the necessary bricks on our road to success. I go in saying that I'm comfortable with obstacles emerging instead of being blindsided. It's like getting into your vehicle and driving, but you know ahead of time that there's a traffic jam, so you're not in a panic state. Instead of you're in a rush and you hit traffic jam and you're like, okay, I've got to get to my next appointment. How am I going to get there? Obstacles are the necessary bricks on your road to success, and embrace them, but not just embrace them. And it's also about learning from them. So when I was a janitor, that was a roadblock. That was a roadblock that emerged, but instead of looking at it from one direction, I shifted my perspective. Transaction and transformation. Every day we have transactional interactions with each other or with people. So you go to a cafe and the person's first thing is, "Hi, how are you?" And you say, "Good. What would you like?" "Oh, I'd like this." And they said, "Okay, here you go." And you're out the door. That's a transaction. Or you go to your bank or anything. Transformation doesn't have to be epic. Transformation is just even a tweak on this to basically say, making it a little bit better. The example I'm going to give you is a few years back, I had about 20 students and we were in Toronto. Late night, and we went to Chipotle's for something to eat. We were all hungry. And when I went to Chipotle's, well, the lady that was behind the counter, it's like a fast food place. She points to the menu above and says, "What would you like?" And she points down below. Well, I looked at her name tag and it's Mary. I said, "Mary?" And she goes, "Yes." I said, "How long have you worked here?" She goes, 3 years. I said, "Mary, I eat everything. Make me what you would eat here." And she looked at me and she goes, "Are you serious?" I said, "Yeah, make me what you would eat here." And all of a sudden a smile appeared on her face. Well, Mary got so excited building me what she would eat. This burrito got so big that they couldn't even close it. She tried, her coworker tried, her manager tried, and they were just laughing. And I just told Mary, I said, "Mary, just put it in this bowl thing, give me a fork, and I'm just going to eat it like this." And everybody had a good time. And at the end, she said, "Thank you very much. That was enjoyable." That's transformation. Just the little things that you can do to sort of spark something in someone that's more different than anyone else. I want to talk about purpose and passion. We often hear people say, "What is your passion? Pursue your passion." I always say passion is an igniter. Passion is that match. Purpose is the candle. Purpose is what you need to have. So you definitely have to find your passion, but take it further into something that's more sustainable, into your purpose. And you find your purpose with the 5 core elements or the Myers-Briggs 16 personalities test, 5 personalities or personal statement. But talk about the purpose piece. I mean, I've been fortunate that I've been able to find my purpose and pursue that. And it's just what they say is true. Yeah, a lot of the things I do doesn't feel like work because it's my purpose. I'm going to talk about goals versus intentions. This scares people because people say, Sam, what are your goals in life? I said, I'm sorry, I actually don't have goals. And they're like, oh my gosh, you're aimless. And I said, no, I'm not aimless. I have intentions. The reason I don't have goals is because goals are very linear. What's your 1 year, 3 year, 5 year plan? But if we're so focused on what we're going to do, how are you going to line that up so that it actually projects? And what if an opportunity emerges that doesn't line up with your goal? It's absolutism. Do you give up the goal or do you give up the opportunity? Whereas with intentions and my 5 core elements, something emerges, I look at it and go, actually it hits 5 out of 5. Writing. Do you know that if I had a goal, writing would never have emerged in my life? But instead, I looked at it as an intention and the 5 core elements. And all of a sudden I said, this makes total sense. And I became a writer now. I'm not saying goals are wrong and that if you have goals, you're wrong. All I'm saying is I needed something else to help me overcome this piece that I just can't have a singular linear pathway. Now, some people need it and appreciate it and totally fine. I'm not saying you're wrong. But this is an avenue for some people who are like, that makes way more sense for me. It's like trying to fit into that tailored suit as opposed to something that is more of an off-the-rack type of suit. Problems and solutions. I want to share with you that in all the years that I've been in business and working and teaching, everybody is so quick to point out the problem. But very few people actually sit down to say, but what's the solution here? The problem has an opportunity and a solution, and it's our need to actually work through it instead of just dwelling on the problem. But how do we fix the problem? And that goes back to my piece that I said where I love ambiguity and uncertainty, because give me something that is broken, dysfunctional, or non-existent. That's where I love to thrive. It's also about this concept of who is this employer? I get so many people that I have a conversation with who talk themselves out of opportunities because the thing they say is, well, you know what, Sam, I've been with a company for 15 years. You know what? The employer is not going to look at my resume if I switch a job because I'm too stagnant. Or I get somebody who's hopped from maybe 3 companies in 2 years. And they're like, Sam, an employer is not going to look at my resume because I've jumped from company to company. What do you think? My reply back is, who's this employer? Male, female, tall, short, young, or old? Why do we make an employer a singular person? Yes, there are employers who are going to say, if you've been with a company 15 years, yeah, you're stagnant. I don't want you. But do you know that some employers are going to say, wait, that's loyalty. I need loyalty. I need stability. For the person that's had 3 jobs in 2 years, yeah, there's employers who are going to be like, unstable. I need to rely. You're going to jump ship as soon as you find a better opportunity. There are other employers who are like, no, creativity. You're a person that is going to come in and fix things, and then you're gone. Well, which is fine. I'm okay with that. So don't think of an employer as a singular person. Put yourself in the best possible light. Now, winning the lottery but losing the ticket. Do you realize that you're going to have many winning lottery tickets in life, but not the kind where you're going to win millions of dollars? The people you meet in the mentorship program, instructors, employers, the people that you come across, situations and opportunities that lie in front of you. These are winning tickets, but oftentimes we never pursue them. I've had people who I've met who said, you know what, I'm just starting out an opportunity in the tourism industry. And I said, well, here's 3 people I know. Here's my business card. Make sure you drop me a note and I'll do an introduction. Do you know what? Never hear back from them. They won the lottery, but you know what? They lost the ticket because they never really pursued it. Connectedness. And this is one that I want to, and we're near the end here. Over the last 7 years, I've given about 5,000 pieces of a jigsaw puzzle. Some of them are in Singapore, but not many. But what I do is I carry puzzle pieces with me. Now, I look at it this way, and I do this in my class, I do this with people I meet, and I wish this was virtual, sorry, not virtual, but in person so I could do this. This is what people feel like. They feel like a jigsaw puzzle piece, the singular piece. They're not sure how they fit in, where's the bigger picture, and what does it all mean? Well, look at it this way. This is ordinary, but right before your eyes, I'm going to transform it and make it extraordinary. Because if I give you this piece of a jigsaw puzzle, this is what you're focused on. Let's focus on this instead. The satchel that I hold. If I give you a piece of my puzzle, do you realize my puzzle is now permanently incomplete without you? Do you realize how important you are and how much I need you? And what's interesting is I can actually see the transformation on people's face when I share this with them. This is taped on mirrors, sitting on wallets, sitting in curio boxes, and people will always remind me. They said, you know what, you gave me this puzzle piece, and it just reminds me how important I feel I am to somebody. It's a simple gesture, and somehow, somewhere, I hope that if any of you need it, I hope that our paths cross and I can actually give you a piece of my puzzle. So, toothpaste, and we're near the end here, and trying to keep Patrick, I know Patrick's going to give me the hook otherwise. So yeah, toothpaste, what does that have to do with this session? Well, toothpaste relates to mentorship. I don't know about you, but I don't know, there's this vortex of toothpaste in the universe somewhere. Because I don't know about you, when I finish and get to the end of that toothpaste tube, and I'm about to throw it in the bin, you squeeze it and you just get that dollop enough for one more brush. And you say, okay, tomorrow morning, I'll throw it out. But next morning, you have just enough for one more, no matter how much you squeeze. The reason I say toothpaste in this session and mentorship, well, as a mentor, squeeze me for everything you got. You think you've actually used me as much as you can and you're about to toss me aside? No, there's always something that I will give you even more. So I hate to say it, but don't tell this to your mentors. Squeeze them for as much as you can and know that they're toothpaste in that regard. I want to leave you with my favorite quote. Everyone's life is an autobiography. Make yours worth reading. I've lived this quote for probably about 25 years. It's a challenge to myself that things that I do, the journey that I'm on, I'm writing chapters. Every single one of you is writing an autobiography. And if it's important to you, it's worth reading. But now, as a result of today, it's great that you can listen to a speaker and that you have all this, but I always say at the end, time for action. What's the one thing as a result of today that you will do? Is it connect with me on LinkedIn? Is it contacting your mentor or as a mentee, connect with the mentee and just say, oh, you know what, let's just reconnect. 5 core elements, write a personal statement, but what's the one thing that you will act upon as a result of today? I want to say thank you for this opportunity and for Patrick for asking me to do this. And I hope that there was something that you've pulled from today. And as a result of today, this is my contact information that you can reach out, and I'd be happy to connect with you on LinkedIn and, you know, have a further conversation if need be, if you find that some of this has been useful. Patrick, I just want to say back to you.